your feelings hurt. Read this.
Hey there, and welcome back to Payments Void. It is time for yet another Karmanline short review.
Karmanline short review. Karmanline short review.
That's what this is. Karmanline short review.
It is not short film roundup.
No, that is
formerly
that
known.
is
That's
gone.
That's
over.
I don't even know what that was.
Don't talk about that.
Don't even bring
don't
it up.
bring that up. That's just in poor
I'm kind of
taste.
just glad that's behind us now. I'd like to keep that in the past. Now, this is still, though, the only place in the universe where three cursed filmmakers review your short films. Are you a filmmaker?
If you're a
send us your short film.
If you're a filmmaker, send us your short film. We have a link in the description that you can click on, and then send us a thing.
What are we reviewing today?
We're not saying that because that's in the commercial. That's okay.
Yeah, redundant.
That's okay.
We don't need to
Whatevs.
review.
Go ahead and ask about what we're reviewing today.
What are we going to review today?
Why today? It is another film submitted to us by our friend Timothy J. Cox.
The infinitely prolific.
Timothy J. Cox submits 1/4 of our films.
So far, yes. This is Who is Elmore Dean? Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like my D was off there. Who is Elmore Dean by Max Rothman.
Max who?
Max Rothman.
Rothman.
Okay, he's a director.
He's the director. Well, it says short film by, so
I'll take it.
Call it director then.
He's directing.
Yes.
What's the difference anyway?
So let's get into it, shall we?
First impressions?
If you haven't seen it yet, watch it, please, so we don't spoil it.
Yeah.
Link in description. Check it out.
Yeah.
Boom.
First impressions. Taylor, why don't you get us started with your first impression?
My first impressions are... Okay, my first impressions were that this movie is really cool. I thought this was a really, really cool movie. And as soon as it ended, I was a little confused because I was kind of wondering if this was going to be revealed further as to what this... Your first thought is that it's supernatural. These occurrences are happening.
Right.
But then I kind of thought that maybe it was a manifestation of his anxiety of getting ready. Yeah, I mean, when you see the knob turn on its own, your first thought is it's supernatural.
That caught me off guard.
Yeah.
It did catch me off guard. Yeah.
You're like, whoa. Yeah.
But then when it ended, I was thinking maybe it is a manifestation of all his anxiety because, like I've been there too, of getting ready and like rushing to get through the day and feeling very hectic, and I thought it would be a cool idea to have that manifest like outside of himself, and it would make sense for why he's not really acknowledging it that much. But I was like, maybe that's just like a out there interpretation. But then in the description, it kind of said that too. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Which made me like the movie quite a bit.
Yeah. I had the same interpretation you did, which was really cool. I actually didn't until the very end after we finished it. And then I was like, well, because I was floating around a little bit in there. Because as I saw the shower turning on and the fire turning on, I'm like, maybe this isn't just a different entity. Maybe this is just like a manifestation, or like in his mind or something, like a symbolic gesture. And it didn't confirm to me, and the end didn't even confirm to me. The end was odd until we started talking about it. Then I'm like, actually, that does sound about right. And then, like you said, the description kind of topped it off.
But if he just locked himself out of his house, why is he knocking on the door?
That's a good point.
He expects someone to let him in. The ghost.
Excuse me. No one. Excuse me, no one.
So I think it's worth talking about what the movie actually is about, right? So they stated it in the description, and both of your interpretations were right, and I see that. I understand it, but while watching the film, I never felt it once. I didn't feel that until I analyzed the film afterwards.
Right.
Which is an interesting topic in itself.
It really is.
When does a movie convey its message to you?
Yeah.
In the moment, afterwards, while we sit around the round table eating pizza.
And well, in some of them, in some movies, like one of the features that we just covered, High Life, a reviewer of High Life had said this takes many viewings, and I feel like that's such a cop-out for a bunch of
It's
movies.
just a way to sell more tickets. That's what that is.
Well, I mean, if you have to watch a movie several times in order to get the movie, like, I don't know if that's real.
I think it
I think
definitely
that is
says
real.
something that the two of you caught on to it before reading it.
Yeah.
If we had read it and then went, oh, okay, then I think that's a shortfall. That's
Yeah.
a shortcoming.
Yeah.
For me, throughout the whole movie, I felt like this was a supernatural thing going on.
Yeah. This definitely feels more like an experiment
Definitely.
than like communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, I think, worth noting that if this film were exactly the same, but it was a supernatural movie, that it doesn't work. Because it's never...
It didn't mean anything.
It doesn't
had
resolve in
it
any
had no
meaningful
consequence.
way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that the interpretation of this being a manifestation of his stress is the only reason the ending is adequate.
Yeah.
Right.
Why
Right,
why it works.
Right.
I still don't think it's a great ending.
Yeah, it wasn't until afterwards when we talked about it that I was like, oh, now I get the ending. The ending where he locks himself out. I was like, okay, and then what? But then I'm like, oh, because it's anxiety. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I love the pairing of what looks like a very standard haunted house type stuff.
Yeah.
With this very lively jazz music.
Yeah,
Totally
yeah.
agree.
I
was
love
cool.
the sound in here.
That was cool.
really cool.
It made for a really unique tone.
It did, yeah, because otherwise this would have been quite eerie.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it felt playful. You know?
Yeah.
It did feel playful.
Yeah, that was nice.
It's also cool how this proved to me that old school practical effects. The guy.
Let's go into that.
So can we do that now?
Yeah.
Let's do that right now.
So we're going to talk about effects. These are old school practical effects. There's a guy on his hands and knees following the guy with the camera, pushing stuff over and pulling on strings and,
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
And the very first one, the knob turning in the bathroom sink, upped the production value of this movie enormously.
That did, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as would seeing a very good piece of CGI.
Yeah.
This was like, whoa, this is another level of movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my first
It
thought
worked.
was like, how did you do that? Because I wouldn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
How to achieve that.
I really like also that after that it's just a flurry of them. We have the knob here, this thing
Yeah, that pushes up.
pushes up.
Yeah.
And then I thought the toilet went, but I wasn't sure.
Maybe.
And then then the shower. Really cool.
You know, and it's so convincing too because of that knob turn that even though turning on the shower is as easy as having a guy off frame pull up the shower,
Yeah.
you still believe that it's happening for real
The
because
context.
of exactly
Yeah.
because of the context.
This,
that it's
and
set
this
up.
one, the stove one, I think
Was actually pretty good.
looks the hardest to get
Yeah.
right.
because of
that
the
little knob
dial.
there.
Like
I mean,
there's a guy.
The
there,
very
you know.
bottom of the knob is out of frame,
Right.
But those aren't easy to
No,
turn
'cause-
from the bottom.
and you have to
bottom.
like push
that
in
would
on it
not be
and turn
easy.
it. Click, click, click. On.
So
Yeah.
that
That is quite
was
good.
nice. The only flub in the effects was in the reflection in the trash can.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
and the way the
Un-
trash can falls over. too.
Unfortunate. Yeah, you can definitely tell it's kicked by the
The camera person.
the camera person.
Because it looks like it's coming from the camera right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
He's like, oh, it
but
didn't quite go.
There he
this is
was.
the guy.
Yeah. So I mean,
But then
and that might be a thing you didn't even notice until you got into post. But boy, it certainly would have been better to have a flat plastic trash can.
Another thought on top of that is this was one shot
Right.
too. So maybe
Right.
that was the best take of
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
effects
it's
going
certainly
off.
it's never easy to get
Yeah.
Rube Goldberg shot.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, this was quite fun. This whole
it was very
Part.
cool.
Yeah.
I was
stuff
just
like this,
smiling.
Stuff like that is. It's where you say, like, I feel like there's a lot of filmmaking purists or people who say, you know, real film is made on film, you know,
Celluloid.
as opposed to digital. I feel like those same people would be like, I want practical effects, not computer generated. But this is where practical effects, I think, make the most sense. You know, when you're using them in a context that requires it to be practical.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not like you're gonna CGI a knob turning.
right? Exactly.
Except that some films do.
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, so that was quite good. Really liked all that.
Yeah. Little reflection in the window too of the camera guy.
Should we talk about
That's rough. That's real hard.
Cinematography?
Yeah, let's go right into cinematography.
Cinematography.
The makers of this program would like to interrupt this program to talk about their other programs. Go D!
If you happen to be a filmmaker and you've made a short film and you want to hear us talk about it, you can submit it to us via the link in the description.
And if you love what you are seeing here and want to dive deeper into making better movies, you need to join us at our Facebook group, The Karmanline Cult. There, we have daily discussions about filmmaking, we have weekly live streams, and all kinds of other cool cult-like activities.
And now back to the program.
So this was all shot on, they said in the credits, they said a Steadicam. Right.
Steadicam operator.
Yeah, where is that? Where is it?
Stop.
Steadicam operator. Right there. It's funny because it looks like a character. Steadicam operator is a character under first assistant.
It's Rob Chrisman.
And it was kind of weird because as they filmed it, it didn't feel like a Steadicam to me. It felt like an auto-correcting like DSLR that has the video stabilization on it. But I was trying to see inside their reflection if I could see.
You want to see their rig?
Their rig, yeah.
My thought with that was, as soon as I saw the camera floating around, I was like, oh, this is a Steadicam that is not quite balanced right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
It
can't
did
tell.
feel a
I
little
think it
off
is
in that first long shot.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
felt like they weren't quite getting the flow they wanted.
I can see it in the mirror and in the window. It looks like it's a full thing. I don't know, but yeah, it didn't feel that balanced.
Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe the balance wasn't quite nailed for getting that perfectly steady look, you know? 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, Steadicams are so finicky.
They're extremely finicky, like especially the ones that you wear.
The heavy-duty ones.
Yeah, you have to be super trained.
Yeah,
to do
you have to
those.
go to a trade school
Dude.
for 4 years to learn
They're
it.
freaking hard. Yeah. So I mean, in that.
The best performing Steadicam I've ever used
Yeah.
is still an iPhone on a Movi. that it's like flawless. You're shooting with an iPhone, huh? So
Well, iPhones are the best. The best.
yeah, they are.
They are. Cinematography in here is different than cinematography that we talk about in other movies because this requires the same amount of setup and the same amount of rehearsal, but it's camera centric. You're not going shot by shot, and so we're focused less on a like one lighting setup and more like one continuous kind of state.
It's almost like the camera is a character in itself,
Yeah.
an observer.
I really, really enjoyed this sequence.
We're not watching it through the main character's eyes.
Right. I really enjoyed this part where
Love this trick.
it says 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. Really good detail.
And it goes to 8:10. I wanted to see if we could tell if the phone had moved, if they switched out a phone.
The easiest way is that there's just two photographs.
Yeah.
It's just two screenshots.
And
They
then
pull
he
up
just
a different screenshot
Yeah,
right
you
there.
flipped it.
Yeah, or you could have had two phones.
see. It looks like the phone's moved now. But I don't know. Even so, yeah, it looks really, really good.
It's cool because that's such a little detail. Like,
Yeah.
I did not notice that the first time through until we were just kind of going through piece
Right.
by piece.
Yeah, and then we also noticed that this light here
Comes on.
comes on as soon
Yeah.
as he gets up, which is an odd artistic choice because
Felt like I don't know, almost like a what's his bucket?
Pulp Fiction,
Mr. Fox.
fantastic.
We were
Mr.
just
Fox.
talking about him.
Wes Anderson?
Wes Anderson. That almost felt like a Wes Anderson move.
like what?
With
Why
this,
is this being lit up?
Look at my suit.
Yeah.
Wah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's any reason for it.
I don't
Yeah.
know. There were a few things in it. I think we'll dig into it under directing, but there are a few things that I don't quite get.
Yeah.
This was weird too.
Yeah, that was odd.
It made it
I
feel
like
like
that.
there were two closed doors
Yeah.
in front of each other.
I liked the edit, just in itself, the edit. But I didn't like that it was placed there. Also, I noticed that this shot, it's a very, very long shot,
Yeah.
but it didn't feel long because
No.
the music was...
Right. Yeah.
It felt really good.
He was like taking a moment.
Did you notice his
Yeah.
beard brushing did nothing?
I did notice that. Yeah. I was
I'm like, what is this doing?
I really like the idea of a camera playing a character.
Yeah.
Because it gives such intent to the movie. I feel like there's too many times that people shoot their movie without making a decision, hey, I'm going to put the camera here instead of somewhere else because of this reason, right? Which no one usually does. They're like, well, I'm going to put it here because it gets the two people in the shot.
Yeah.
That's it. But where you actually have the camera playing an actual, viewing character, where we're going around looking at all the pieces that are supposed to be moving, it suddenly gives a hell of a lot of intent into the piece. Anyway, I just really like that. It helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Shall we move on to directing?
Let's talk about
New
directing.
category.
So there's quite a bit of weirdness in here in some of the choices.
Yeah, let's go to him in his bed.
Yeah. So we have...
By the way, great place dressing, set
Yeah,
dressing,
yeah.
writing that article.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love all that.
Yeah.
The music stuff.
Yeah, the microphone there. Like,
Yeah.
I believe this guy is this character.
Absolutely.
Well, and all the, I think the blocking when he's running around the house is all done very well.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to
So
him.
this was where it first gets weird. I don't know what he's looking at, but it's almost right into the camera.
Almost. But
It's
it doesn't
like,
feel like
it's like
it,
he's
yeah.
looking out the window or checking another clock.
Right.
I'm not sure.
And then he does this movement.
What is that?
He's like shooing away the camera.
It's either
Right.
something smells or he's saying, "Get that camera out of my face."
Yeah, and I thought it was get the camera out of my
Right.
face
So,
first.
meaning he's aware of the camera.
Right.
Right. But
And then he looks at it again and he's like, fine, I'll get up. But then the camera doesn't play a part anymore.
yeah. And then he's
by the
like,
way,
whoa, there's a light in my closet.
I really like Tim's performance right then when he does the
You like that?
His
performance.
performance.
Yeah,
I don't understand why he's doing it. But
I
he
know
did it well.
his performance was awesome right there. The face he's making.
Master. He's a master.
Maybe it's because of proximity. Whoops. Proximity of his hand to his nose that makes it look like he's like smelling something bad.
But what do you think he's doing?
I think he's shooing away the camera.
So you think that is what it is?
I think it is, yeah. Although I don't think it makes sense that he's like, ugh, gross.
I don't. Well, go to the bathroom mirror.
Right, when he does the second look.
He looks again. This feels like direct to the camera again.
Yeah.
Almost like he's. That face almost looks like asking for permission.
I
Like,
kinda-
what do you think?
I kind of got the impression here that he accidentally looked at the camera.
Tim makes no mistakes. There's no accidents with Tim Cox.
Sorry. I
Well,
shouldn't
no,
have said
he
that.
deliberately does it right here. Because he goes, boop.
Mhm.
And then the
That's
camera
true.
reacts.
Yeah,
to
I
him,
don't
too.
think that's.
Yeah,
a
he is
mistake.
looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is reacting to the camera.
So,
The camera must be just a manifestation of his anxiety.
It's like,
right?
here it comes.
He's acknowledging
He's
his
like,
anxiety.
go away, anxiety.
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting. Like the camera itself is the anxiety.
Right.
Yeah.
And he looks in the mirror and he's like, oh, there it is again.
Right.
And that's when we
Because
first
he's,
see
he's
the,
like examining the bags under his eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
that brings me to a point.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
This movie requires a bit of interpretation, but it was set up in a way that made me intrigued enough to want to interpret the
Yes,
film.
which is
in the first place.
we've decided this is another rule of filmmaking.
Yeah, which we were talking about that earlier today
Right.
when we reviewed High Life.
Yes, I thought you said it beautifully then. Do you want to repeat your point?
Yeah, in High Life, I didn't. There's almost a lot of it's interpretive, but I did not care to interpret any of it because the movie didn't make me
It does.
care
It's
about.
not intriguing.
Yeah, it's just not intriguing. Like, why
Right.
should I care about interpreting this stuff?
Right.
Why should I take the time and effort to think about it if you're not giving me something to think about?
if
something
if you don't
interesting
find
to
it
think about.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a person-to-person basis.
Definitely.
And I think in High Life, it just so happened that all of us were on the same
Well,
level.
but as
Yeah.
a filmmaker, I think one can say, I think you could say, if you're going to leave the film up to interpretation, if you're making a film where you're not giving a lot of info,
Yeah.
and you're leaving that up to the audience, it is your prerogative to entice them
Sure.
to try
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. In Enemy and Under the Skin, they both, I really feel like they demanded the attention of the audience.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, I mean, in those feature films, they do something, I think it might be just with the well, I don't know, I don't want to get too into that. I don't know exactly what they do, but what is it about this that entices us, that makes us want to figure it out? Is it because there's a missing piece here and we have to fill it in?
It's something about the execution, something about the camera floating around.
Is it just because it's fun, maybe?
Some mix of the camera floating, the frantic pacing, and the music.
Yeah.
It's a mix of all that makes me
And
interested.
the character seems human.
Yeah.
There's relatable things happening here that I can sink my hooks into.
Yeah.
You know, whereas with High Life,
That's true.
they weren't relatable characters
That's true.
at all.
Yeah.
They
That's
were all
very
kind
true.
of like comic book crazy people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very, very true.
Definitely.
I want to draw a very obvious inspiration here from, not inspiration, very obvious line. Parallel, thank you, from this movie to
I was gonna say the same
Birdman?
thing. Birdman.
Yeah.
Birdman's coming up again.
Yeah. No, I felt a Birdman vibe, not just because of the jazz,
Because
but the camera floating around.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was cool about it was that the camera did unmotivated moves, you know?
Oh yeah, turned back and went, hey, look
Yeah.
at this.
Yeah.
And now let's look at this.
And I kind of like that. I kind of like that they use, again, it's because there's an intent here, because the camera is playing a character. There's no hey, look at this object for no apparent reason, and then look away. And we see that so many times in short films, all the time. There's a shot of a close-up of a mug, or there's a shot of a close-up of something else, or a wide shot of the house. And you're like, why am I looking at this right now?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It comes across as contrived.
Right.
When every other shot has been like a uninvolved observer.
Yeah.
And that's a fine way to shoot your movie.
Right.
Right. But you kind of break your rules when you leave the camera on the stick that the guy's about to trip over.
Right.
Like, why were we waiting for him to trip over
Exactly.
that stick?
There's a film that we talked about that was a fight scene.
Yes.
And
The Rock.
Inner Deep.
Yeah.
And it showed a rock. And the camera laid on this rock like seconds before it was going to be picked up and be used.
So it totally broadcasted what was about to happen.
Right. And so you're telling the audience, look at this for a reason, you know, and when you're doing that and it brings them out, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, and unless you're going to use that as a tool for your storytelling.
For example, this part right here at the sink, right? Like, the camera looking down at the sink makes no sense whatsoever until we see that thing turn, and we're like, oh shit.
Right.
Now everything that the camera looks at has a reason to be looked at. It's great.
Yes.
Big epic.
Facts.
Big epic.
Accurate.
Shall we move on to questions?
Yeah, so viewers, you guys can ask some questions to the filmmaker, as we're about to do. Leave your questions in the comments below. They usually give us a comment answering all the questions, and it'd be fun to, let us know what you guys thought too. So now this is straight to the filmmaker, Max. Not Timothy, because he was the one who gave us the film. Max, if you're here, listen. Do you guys have questions?
We have questions.
Go ahead.
Max, please answer in the comments section. To begin with, like we said, this has like a very Birdman vibe to us, and wonder if you are inspired at all by Inarritu, and if not, who are your filmmaking inspirations, and where did you get this idea? Are you channeling your own anxiety in making this film?
Yeah.
How did you do the this scene
Fishing
right
line.
here? The
Fishing line.
no, the knob turning
Fishing
on
line.
the sink fishing line.
I'm honest. I honestly think they did
It's
fishing
either
line.
I guess
that-
it could be.
Now the one that came up That's really easy to do from underneath the sink.
Yeah.
You just push it up
Yeah.
and it'll close. So you could possibly even turn the knob from under the sink depending on what kind of sink it is. So
Maybe.
I noticed that they never reveal the little cabinetry underneath. And I'm guessing there's an assistant on their hands and knees helping to make things happen here.
This part was fishing line.
But yeah, we caught the fishing line on that one.
Oh, there's a little shadow.
Just
Little
barely.
bit.
A little shadow.
Yeah, so I'm curious how you achieved that.
Oh, how many rehearsals did this take? Did this take a long time? Because I think there's 3 shots in here in total. And I want to also know the difference between why you chose to do this edit, which was a fade to black or dip to black,
Right?
and then the cut.
The smash cut.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom.
I just want to know if that was just because it looked cool in editing, or
Yep.
was that like a thing in your head that you wanted to do?
Why is there light in the closet? What does that mean? Tell me. Tell me about the light.
He's going.
Don't tell him.
He's going Andrew Cronenweth. On
Do
us.
not
Want
tell
to
him.
know.
Do not tell
I
him.
must know.
Don't tell him.
It's
Do not answer that question.
It's important. Don't let Taylor boss you around.
Don't answer that question.
He is a monster.
All right, dudes.
Okay. Thanks for
Okay.
sending us to the film, Tim, and thank
and
you,
Max.
Alex, for
Max. Who's Alex? Kevin?
Thank you, Max, for being
For making
cool.
the film.
Yeah.
Max, please send us more if you have more, because this was awesome.
Yeah, man. You
Yeah,
got
we
some
really liked it.
chops. I want to see more movies.
This is honestly, I could say maybe an award contender.
Don't say that. Don't say that,
Just
Dean.
saying it could be.
Don't get
Dean,
his
don't
hopes up.
say that.
We still have like 8 months of
A year
movies
left.
to be sent to us
looks
before we start giving out
This is pretty good.
awards.
It was a good movie. We liked it. Good job.
Not an award contender until we've seen all the movies. Jeez.
It's a pretty good movie, though.
It's a good movie.
It's a pretty good movie.